Facebook, YouTube, the day of Jezreel, the archangel God, the one that reward those for their spiritual labor. Archangel, nope, not Fig. She's a false god. Quit acknowledging false gods on God's days. Topic of the message: travailing, travailing, travailing. Today, well, tonight is the Sabbath day. And quite interesting, I did, and God showed me and told me to do, in the 22nd, June 22nd, was the beginning time of the travailing process. Now, if you take June 22nd, that was on a Wednesday, and count it all the way to today, it's 9 days. And 9 days is nine is a symbolic of 9 months. 9 months to bring forth. See how that works? And the interesting thing about today is July 1st is when the partial solar eclipse occurred in that 2011 sequence of June 1st to a partial eclipse happened there, and then a blood moon on June 15, 2011, and now July 1st, 2011 was a partial solar eclipse, and that's where it ended. Today is July 1st, 2016. So fulfillment, God was giving me a lot of signs yesterday of something going to happen. I mean, more, he gave me signs a lot, but just a whole bunch of signs yesterday. Yesterday was a quite interesting day. But the topic of the message is, it's talking about, the idea, I just was trying to get an ID, and I was meditating in this line, and what got me inspired to do this message is called the reality of Jesus Christ I.D. Yeah, Jesus Christ I.D. Now, what you mean, Matt Johnson? Well, I mean that the whole objective of every Christian should be striving for is to be, let me see here, like Christ. You know what I'm saying? Like Christ concerning his image, concerning his, pretty much his characteristics. No, not try to be, and I'm not going to talk about the natural image of Jesus Christ, or whether he's black or white or green or purple, but I am talking about the Jesus Christ ID concerning his characteristics. You know what I'm saying? That if someone sees your identification card, would they see Jesus? Would they see his love? Would they see his joy? Would they see his peace? Would they see his gentleness? Would they see his long suffering? Would they see his meekness? Would they see his temperance? Or would they see his faith? You know what I'm saying? Is what is considered concerning the identification of what people need to see concerning you. But here's the thing. I mean, yes, we should supposed to be an example of Christ among people. But here's what the most important person you need to be living for. How about God and Jesus? What does God and Jesus see you? That here's the thing that God taught me. Concerning where I'm at. One thing when I got serious about becoming a Christian, you know what I'm saying? He helped me understand this ideal, Mac. Mac, you're living for me. You're not living for nobody around you, but you're living for me concerning my pleasing. Because, concerning that, in us living for God, we must walk by faith. And faith is the substance of things that I hope for, and the evidence of things that are not seen. And faith come by hearing, and hearing the word of God. And as much as you hear the word of God, as much as you have faith, and as much as you have faith, as much as you learn how to trust in God concerning that, what the sequence is supposed to be established. Believe, have faith, to trust in God. It's the sequence of every Christian makeup, hopefully, their makeup of who they are. Because now, when you start thinking that you're supposed to live for people, that's when everything gets screwed up. And that's when you develop a religious viewpoint of how you're supposed to be a Christian. I see a lot, unfortunately, Christians develop a viewpoint because they feel that they're living for people, because living for people acceptance or perception of trying to make people help them see that they are a Christian or something like that. But they want that perception of a Christian because they put on the Christian clothes or something like that. But the thing is, the ideal of this identification going to start with how God and Jesus see you. It's not going to go by why people see you. Because here's the thing, Jesus says, love the Lord, love the Lord first the Lord, not everybody else. Love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and all thy soul and all thy mind. See, the emphasis of this identification process that's supposed to be emphasizing on the Lord thy God, not people and how people see you. And now watch this, and then love your neighbor as you love yourself. Because here's the thing, you're supposed to be focused on loving your neighbor. You know what I'm saying? Like I saw a post and it was interesting. It said, I forgot what it in wording, but it emphasized that God doesn't want us to be this, but he won't concerning our neighbor, but he wants us to love our neighbor. Well, likely the post was trying to set apart this act of loving our neighbor is supposed to be based upon how much we love God, as what John clearly shows us in 1 John 1 John 5 talks about, if you hate your brother, you hate God. You know what I'm saying? But God's supposed to be the number one emphasis of the situation when you are trying to, if we're going to get this ID, God has to be the emphasis. That I see people don't make him the emphasis. And the problem of that if God is not the emphasis, there's going to be a lack of integrity going to be worked if God is not the emphasis. Because look, if we live a Christian among people, people ain't going to see us everywhere we go. You know what I'm saying? People ain't going to see us when we're not out of church or out of venue. People are going to be nosy to find out what's going on in your life or stuff. And you're going to hear people say, I saw you doing this and do that. But people don't technically are not going to follow you everywhere. But God is going to follow you everywhere. Jesus said he's going to never leave you. He will follow you all the way to the ends of the earth. And the thing is, what we need to understand that our daily activity is supposed to be based upon, living for the Lord thy God through his son, Jesus Christ. And I tell people, the more you do that, the more you realize that, like the posters that people put out there says, the poster says, I'm not perfect, but I need Jesus to help me to be a perfect person. You know what I'm saying? Because really, the number one idea of being a true Christian is when you make mistakes, when you sin, when you make mistakes, you understand how much you need Jesus as an antidote to help you to become more stronger, to help you to become a better person. Or the Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. When you understand the aspects of that you need him, not he's a he's a secondary option or a thirdary option, fourth option, or any option, that you need him concerning the identification of heaven. Because guess what? God is going to see if he sees us when we meet him. You know what I'm saying? One day, he's going to look for Jesus' identification. He's not going to look for really your identification. He's going to look for Jesus Christ's identification, because the number one agenda, of course, for a Christian is to be like Christ. Christ concerning the characteristics of the fruit of the Spirit. That we need to understand this idea aspect if we truly want Jesus Christ's identification. But it's about John 3:30. It's about losing your identification. You know what I'm saying? You decrease your identification to increase his. That